I'm talking about 3 reasons that sit-stand desks are better for students and why your child probably can't have one. 1973, when I was 15 years old, I was at a boarding school. I went there because I wanted to be a serious academic, and I discovered that there were 3 hours every day of mandatory study hall, and it was pure torture. And here's the really crazy thing. I couldn't study. I sat through those 2 years of study hall, and I never cracked a book. I did everything but. I also felt really guilty about it. I didn't understand why all of my friends seemed to be able to do their homework during study hall, but I couldn't. And I really seriously thought there was something wrong with my head or something, and it was a very frustrating, very, very frustrating experience. And it really undermined how I felt about myself academically. Since then, I've learned a lot, and what I really know for sure is that children are meant to move. Physical activity is essential for intellectual development. And yet, there's a university in the United Kingdom that I work with on research. They estimate that children are spending 65% of their waking day sitting down. The model of learning that includes sitting all day at a desk may seem traditional and the right way, but really, historically, children have learned by doing, at the side of their parents or with other children through play. What we have to ask ourselves is this: by putting kids in a sedentary place all day long, what kind of lifestyle are we preparing them for? And is that okay? I'm here to tell you about a solution that goes outside of that traditional sit-stand learning style. These are students from Mrs. Irving's Belterre Elementary class in Flagler, Florida. I first visited these kids last March, and they all had traditional sit-stand desks. A few weeks later, I came back after they'd been given their mobile sit-stand desks. They originally had the sit-only desks. And it challenged everything I'd ever known about learning. I had actually told our product development people to remove the casters before we sent the desks because I thought they were going to be too distracting. What I discovered was that the casters were the solution, along with the fact that these are sit-stand adjustable. My job is to investigate the risk factors associated with sedentary behavior. I work with researchers all over the world, people in Australia, the United Kingdom, Europe, here in the United States. We've been testing sit-stand desks for several years now. We know absolutely that a sit-stand desk can reduce sitting time and that the benefits are there for people in terms of less risk from a musculoskeletal point of view, metabolic point of view, and also performance. So we know that these desks can be used efficiently, effectively, and they will not hamper productivity. What we're trying to do is to put the body back in balance. And we do that by replacing a percentage of sitting time with standing. I talked to you about the benefits. I started out in ergonomic research more than anything. That's where our company has always had its roots. What we discovered was that sit-stand desks don't stop at musculoskeletal benefits. They also help metabolically and mental process. Now, I guess I should have known that because the mind and the body are connected, but it was a revelation. And it really was a sort of an experience of watching, observing, and then looking at the data. A child is born with a C curve of the spine. It takes a while for that curve to develop into the S curve that's typical of the human spine. And what you need to know about that S curve is that it is particularly designed for standing and movement upright. That is how we are different from other animals in the animal kingdom. And it's a marvel of engineering. Unfortunately, gravity takes its toll, just the mere fact of growing older. And then we make some really terrible lifestyle choices. And we end up often like the guy on his knees. Pressure on the spine ranges from 105 to 190% more when sitting as compared to standing. I like to talk to people about what I call the park the car. You drive to work, you park your car, you go in, you sit down, you work all day, and you go back to the car and drive home. That's fine for the car because it doesn't matter if the car is idle. But if you're treating your body as if it's a vehicle and you've parked it all day, that's not good. Your body doesn't just idle in a sort of, it's not just, let's put it this way, something bad is happening. It's not just that it's neutral. Your body isn't in neutral when it's in idle. What we've learned from physical inactivity research is that there are terrible things going on metabolically when you're not moving. So what we want to do is we want to keep remembering that the body and the mind are present at work or in school. Prolonged sitting also causes something called gluteal amnesia, and that's when these glutes in the back really just forget how to stand. The support and the stability that you need to stand withers away, and then people tell me, well, they can't stand all day because standing doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, we were designed to use these muscles for standing. And here's the crazy thing. This is the largest muscle group of the body. If you're sitting 12 hours a day, do you know what that means? A huge percentage of your muscle activity is flatlined. And this is my money shot. This study came from Dr. Mark Hamilton from here in the United States. He is one of the premier researchers on physical inactivity. And you can see here that there's a difference in electrical signal going from stepping to sitting, getting out of a chair to standing. You've heard a lot about standing desks. We make sit-stand desks. Sit-stand desks are different because they take advantage of that beautiful little shift that you see under getting out of a chair. That's what we're going for. We're not satisfied with just the standing activity. We want the activity that happens between sitting and standing. So a standing desk is not enough. You need to sit and stand throughout the day. This is what we're doing with kids. We're bringing sit-stand desks into the classroom to encourage postural rotation. Here am I. At the age of 5, I was among the 4% of children who were considered overweight because I was short in relationship to my weight. Since 1962, when that picture was taken, obesity and overweight among children has tripled, some people even say quadrupled, to the point where we have 23 million children now who are overweight or obese. Physical activity in school is an issue. We know that children are getting, of the 60 minutes that they should be getting in school, they're only getting 41 to 45 minutes. When they get home, they could be latchkey kids. It may be unsafe for them to walk around, or maybe they just need to, decompress. But the fact of the matter is, with computers and digital games and things, they really are not getting enough activity. So what happens? These kids are being exposed to factors that we were only seeing in adults a few years ago. High blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, osteoarthritis, heart disease, fatty liver disease in kids. You may have heard things that say there have been a lot of media coverage over the fact that smoking is like sitting disease. You can believe it, because in terms of preventable lifestyle, tobacco, and sitting disease are very similar. Probably more numbers of people are at risk because of sitting disease than ever have been with tobacco. The good news here, though, is that we've learned a lot more about genetics, and we know that our DNA doesn't determine how we're going to end up. Lifestyle plays a big role in shaping wellness. So we can kind of reorder our future by simply making the right choices. For children, we need exercise, we need nutrition, we need to reduce sitting. We know that there are positive associations between physical activity, academic achievement, academic behavior, cognitive skills, and attitudes. The research that we've done with adults prove all of this out. We are just now starting research with children, and we are confident that we're going to get the same results. One thing about being a kid is that uniqueness isn't as valuable a thing as it is to adults. We adults, we all want to be individuals, but bullying is a consequence of being unique among kids. One of the things that happens with bullying is isolation. If a child is isolated by his or her peers long enough, they begin to isolate themselves voluntarily. And that has major implications for psychosocial development. What I observed in the elementary school in Florida was that our sit-stand desks created a level playing field. The kids were responding to the curriculum, so that if the teacher said, let's do small group, they'd form little small groups, or they'd form a horseshoe and have a lecture, or they'd do partners. At one point, they were learning geometric shapes, and one of the kids said, can we form our desks into an octagon? And the teacher said, yes. So they, started forming these different geometric shapes. Mrs. Irving told me that within 3 days of getting these desks, she threw away the seating chart because the kids just took control over their own classroom in a good way. She said that within a week, her students became scholars. And when we go back to this level playing field idea, I just want to point out the little girl in the wheelchair in this slide. As we were going off to lunch that day, she had 2 of her friends were walking alongside her, and she said to them, now you guys have wheels just like me. And they were just so excited. Here's the thing. We need to make changes for our kids, but changes require environmental change. You need to surround them with good possibilities and good choices. And they can't manage these healthy changes by themselves. They need help from us. Some of the challenges that you're going to run into when you suggest that your child should have a sitting desk, a sit-stand desk. They're going to say, what's wrong with sitting? People have been sitting for years. It's natural. They're going to tell you that budgets are too tight. They're going to say, our school is full of desks. They've been here for 50 years. There's nothing wrong with them. You can't take those excuses. If you want children to learn and to be healthy, you need to spread the word. People need to know that sedentary behavior has implications for public health, for learning. If we don't educate people, we won't be able to create a market for the solution. So start at home. Put your kids at the kitchen counter and get them a stool and watch. Make sure that they do this postural rotation so they're not flatlining their metabolism. Be a model of change for yourself. You should get a sit-stand desk. Use it at work, use it at home. You can go to juststand.org. It's a resource that we've put together. It's our passion. We have up-to-date information about products as well as research. And our goal here is to teach the whole child and to teach every child. Kids get sit-stand desks. So let's get them for them. Thank you.